On May 9th, 2001, in a soccer match featuring two of Ghana's best teams at Accra Stadium, a riot was incited, causing 126 people to lose their lives, all due to issues with the stadium and how police handled the matter. Today we're going to dive into this tragic event and hope it never happens again. Today on Daily Sports History. All right, before we hit the field on today's episode, let's huddle up and talk about Sports Social Pro. If you manage your team's sports social media and feel like it's coaching a team of cats, we got the perfect solution. Whether you need a playbook for DIY success or you want us to handle all your social media and make it into MVPs, head over to Daily Sports History / Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. So first, we're going to dive into what led up to this match. It was a match versus the Accra Heart of Oak versus the Kumasi Cook, two of the best teams in the Ghana Premier League, which started in 1957, which replaced the Gold Coastal Cup competition, and is organized by the Ghana Football Association, which at the time was ranked the 11th best league in Africa and the 67th best league in the world. But that didn't mean that these teams didn't have a huge following in Ghana. Now, the Heart of Oaks actually started way back in 1911 when the governor of the Golden Coast put together a team to compete in the Accra Football League. And in 1956, they finally joined the Ghana Premier League, where they have been ever since. And in 2000, they had actually won the Ghana FA Cup, the Ghana Premier League, and for the first time in history, the CAF Champion League, which helped them make the FIFA World Cup. Now, the Asante Gotutu team has a rich history as well, as they started in 1926, when they were originally named the Kumasi Titanics. Although they bounced around from team name to team name, they eventually settled in 1935 on Asante Gotutu, which means porcupine, and is their official mascot, and is on their logo, as it has an arsenal of sharp spikes to attack the enemy. And leading up to the game, these teams were number 1 and number 2 in the Ghana Premier League, and this game would weigh heavily on who would win the league. And over 30,000 spectators were in attendance on May 9, 2001. Asante had the lead through most of the match until late in the game when Accra scored 2 late goals, giving them a 2-1 advantage. And after this, the Kutoko team was very upset and started to throw bottles onto the pitch, and eventually continued their dissatisfaction, ripping the actual chairs they were sitting on out of the ground and throwing them onto the pitch as well. In response to this, they called the game, ending it for a win for Accra 2-1. But the Kotuku fans would not let go. They continued their rampage, throwing everything they could find onto the field, and the police there started to fire tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowd, which caused a panic and caused everyone in the stands to start to run. But the problem was the stadium had not opened their gates yet, as they had just called the match. And they normally close the gates to not allow anyone to come into the game that had not paid. And they would open them as the game ended. But it ended so abruptly they had not opened the gates yet, which caused fans to get stuck at the gates and the fans behind them to push. And they kept pushing and pushing, causing a bottleneck, and many were getting injured and collapsed on the ground, causing many to be trampled or have issues breathing and causing a lot of trauma. For 116 people that passed away during this tragic moment, their cause of death was compressive asphyxia, which means that their lungs were compressed on the torso, preventing them from breathing, basically crushing their airways so they could not breathe. And sadly, this included men, women, and children. 10 more fans died of trauma from being trampled, and many more were injured. Another issue that caused this was there were so many people that were injured that the nearby hospitals could not keep up and could not provide medical attention to many of the spectators that needed it. Some fans were even put into the morgue and later woke up, just narrowly missing being buried alive. Following this event, Ghana President John called for 3 days of mourning, and the Ghana Premier League suspended a month of play. And officials were looking into the event to see why it happened and what they could do to prevent this moment. And they actually brought charges against the police that were there for over 100 counts of manslaughter, as they were thought to have used too much force that caused 126 people to lose their lives. Because this wasn't the first time this happened. And back in 1964, when Peru was playing Argentina in a soccer match in Argentina for a chance to make it to the Olympics, fans again started to incite riot-like activities, and the police there shot tear gas and caused fans to panic. And this one led to 328 deaths due to the same issues of gates being closed and bottlenecks causing people to be crushed and not be able to breathe. So there was precedent of this happening, and they should have known how to handle it better. Because if they wouldn't have reacted the way they did, chances are we wouldn't have lost that many people. But they were not convicted of these crimes. Despite the committee that looked into the events saying they acted incorrectly, they said the moment was one that someone could not prepare for, and their actions were not the only reason for the cause. Despite many families and victims, including 148 children that were left without parents, still calling for justice, they continue to live without it. They now do a remembering walk every May 9th and hold a May 9th Cup to celebrate the lives of those they lost. And during the May 9th Cup, the fans in attendance continuously shout, "Never again, never again, never again." As we may love our teams, and we may not like our rivals, but in no way should anyone lose their life for the games they love. So always remember that when you meet a rival fan, that they have a life just like you that's worth living. And sports are for enjoyment, and we should never have these tragedies ever again. And if you have another great topic for us to cover on Daily Sports History, please send us an email at the email address dailysportshistory@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and the great moments that you love, and come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.